What's up, Internet, and welcome to the Cave Trolls Podcast, Episode 11. Quick notes up front, we are switching up our release schedules a bit. Now we are putting out 2 episodes a week. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday. The formats will vary, but you will almost always get a traditional Cave Trolls episode on Wednesdays. Also, we are now in full production for our YouTube channel, so starting in January, look for us over there at the Cave Trolls on YouTube. Today we get deep into Fallout 4 and its predecessors and also talk a bit about Jessica Jones. Enjoy.
Stories and things.
Let me introduce everybody.
All right,
Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave. How are
Dave.
you? Nice to meet you. Shake my hand here.
Oh, okay. Shaking his hand.
Never been here before.
Why is it wet?
Because I peed a little.
Okay, just a little. Jordan.
Hey.
That was creepy. And as always, I'm your faithful host, guest, guy, Terry?
Person? Question mark?
He is the podcast.
What if I'm like a synth? And you guys didn't know? Or like a replicant, like Harrison Ford in Blade Runner.
That's my biggest fear is people that I know in real life being replaced by synths.
If it wasn't 2015, I'd make fun of you, but like that's enough of like a fear that we have that's showing up in every single movie.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that was possible. A little bit of spoilers for Fallout 4. So if you don't want to know anything, it's not a story spoiler, but it's something that can happen in the game.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I already.
That's something a synth would say.
Oh damn.
No, but seriously, so some of your settlers can become synths and not know, so they'll just get replaced. None of the main people so far have, like the people with names, but as your settlements grow, you get settlers that come and join your ranks, so you can expand your towns, and they just pop up settler. That's just their name is settler. But some of them can be replicants or synths in the Fallout universe.
How can you tell?
You can't until they turn on you.
Oh, fun.
Yes. So I'm doing my base and I hear ah! I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was thinking we're getting attacked, but I didn't get a notification.
Execute Order 66 up in this
Yes,
shit.
and it was just this settler. I had made a house for like her and this other like guy. I don't know, they weren't like a thing, but they always went there and slept in that building,
right?
Which is weird. Like they kind of pick their favorite places to sleep. Like Marcy Long is one of the Minutemen, and she just sleeps in my house. She just took over my house. I come home and she's watching my television in Fallout. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
I feel safe here.
You're sitting there, is she going to be a synth? Kill me in my sleep?
Exactly. I was worried, because I had heard that was a thing that could happen. And then, no, it was these 2 other settlers who farmed all my crops. And they start shooting up town, and I have to murder them. So I murder them, and then, you clear out their stuff, and you have fiber optics, and they're a synth.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so they can just infiltrate your town. So look forward to that. It's that kind of sandboxy element that I love about Fallout. Because we talked about this last week a little bit, how we're not super big into the story, and that mostly me. You guys like the story of Fallout, and I like it too, but it's not the best story I've ever played. It's not Last of Us. I love the Last of Us story. That's like my benchmark.
It's not really like presented as theatrically or anything like that.
Right. My big example for this is against light spoilers for the first couple minutes of Fallout. So if you guys don't want anything like that, skip ahead, about a half an hour, because we're going to talk about this for a little while. When you start Fallout, you start with your spouse, whether it be a boy or a girl, and Sean, your son.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to the vault, they betray you and freeze you. They wake you up. They take your kid. They kill your spouse. So the whole mission that you're supposed to do is go and find Sean. But you don't know how much time has passed, so he could be an adult, he could be dead, you don't know. He could be still an infant. You don't know when you were unthawed and when he was.
He could be a synth.
Thawed. Just thawed. He could be a synth, exactly. You don't know what happened to him, but it's supposed to be urgent.
You could even have become one of those super mutants you find on the waste. You could have shot him already.
Exactly.
You don't know.
You don't know. So it's supposed to be urgent, and you're supposed to be going after your kid, except for I don't give 2 fucks. I'm with Sean 5 minutes. Like, I get it. As a kid, it does have sentimental value. I'm going to be a father soon. kind of get that inkling. But at the same time, like I said, I see Sean for like 5 minutes. He's this creepiest baby animation, by the way, in any game. Even creepier than that fucking fetus you find in PT. Did you guys play that?
No.
At one point, if you go around like the house like 10 times, you look in a sink. There's just like a fetus there. Sean is creepier than that. He's just staring at you, making fake baby noises. And he's gone. You're supposed to track him down, and I don't give two fucks. I'm traveling around, taking missions, hunting down super mutants. I got a freeze gun, and I'm slowly becoming Mr. Freeze. I built my base up. I have a 2-story house. I'm living in fucking luxury, and my kid could be off doing God knows what, being eaten by death claws. I don't give two fucks.
He could be a Deathclaw.
Now, Jordan, you're a little bit farther into the main story.
Yeah.
Do you find it a little bit more pressing than me? Did you want to know what happened? Did you?
I really do want to know what happened, just because like as you go through the story, you kind of find out more, and then things change drastically how further than what you think they would.
Okay.
So I've just kind of played that whole role. Like, I need to find my kid. It's my kid.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm like playing into that whole
So
role.
it did strike you a little bit stronger.
Not that it struck me stronger. I'm just getting more into it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like you felt like going down that path a little bit more than me.
Yeah.
It grabbed you a little bit harder than it did me. It's not like I said. It's a good story, and that is a good hook. Like, hey, find your kid.
Yeah. Like, I mean, as soon as I got to that part, I saw that, I was like, holy shit, I got to find my kid.
Right.
But then as soon as I got out of the vault, I'm like, hey, what's all this new stuff?
That's exactly it. I was like, oh, I gotta find John. I went over. You like, I swore vengeance. Like,
Vendetta!
did you guys notice that no matter who you play, they just turn into Batman the second you leave that vault?
Yep.
She's like, I will get vengeance for you, and I'm like, really? Because you were a housewife before this happened. Like, I literally walked in here in like a skirt and a apron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that she can't do it because she's a woman. It has nothing to do with that. I think it's just as implausible that Jordan's dude, who looks like Elvis, by the way, he's got like a pompadour, but then he's also got like a cowboy hat on.
Yep.
I think it's just as implausible for either one of those guys. Like, they're just like house people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they go to work 9 to 5.
Well, isn't it implied that you also had military training?
No,
Yeah.
the husband had military training.
Right, okay.
When you play as the woman, you don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's still your husband. Because I walk up to the closet and she's like, I'm so proud of him. He served our country. So I had no prior training, but I leave the vault and I'm fucking bullseye.
Wow.
I'm opening up vats. I'm bullseyeing womp rats in my T16 back home.
Like, honestly, like playing as the woman, I think could make a little bit more of a heartbreaking story because your husband, who's been in the military,
exactly.
like had all this training, wakes up in a cryotube, gets shot.
And that's what I did feel like I like the story a little bit more being from a woman's perspective. Yeah. Like, you lost your kid, your husband shot, and your husband had the training, so it was like more of a rags to riches kind of thing.
Yep.
Whereas, like, I felt like I'd have to be more careful at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But Fallout 4, while it is one of the harder games, I feel like it's harder than Fallout 3. I didn't really play New Vegas, but I do feel like it's a little bit harder. Just like the enemies can do more damage to you, and they're a little bit more prevalent. But in a gameplay sense, I'm already good at that stuff. Like, I didn't have to slum it with the shittiest pistol forever. Like, I immediately built a sniper rifle that was better than anyone I found, the way that the perk system does, it does a good job of making you feel powerful early on, which can be bad in an RPG, but it felt good in this sense, but not as a narrative.
Yeah.
Like, I in no way did I feel like that woman whose husband I was dependent on, you know what I mean? Which is kind of a cool and like in a feminist way. Like, I am running my shit. I don't depend on anybody. I don't need a man. My husband's dead and I'm still ruling the fucking world.
Right.
However, it just, I don't buy that she would have been able to do all these things just because she had no prior training. Where the husband had military training, it doesn't switch stories like that.
Yeah, it's just fun, like how, the only person who could have like protected you is like, oh, he's all of a sudden dead.
Exactly. And
couldn't protect himself. Fuck.
Wake up call.
Exactly. And if I didn't immediately leave and turn into Batman, I would have bought the whole thing.
Yeah.
I would have completely been like, oh, that's really plausible. I like that.
It should have been more of like an, oh fuck, what do I do? What's all this shit?
Exactly. And it was not that at all. I come
Instead
out
of, okay, I'm out here. I'm gonna kick some ass.
And like I'm nice. Like, I give everybody the sarcastic answer, but I help people. Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of rolling good. Excuse me. But I'm not vengeful. Like, there's one mission that you roll up on a woman and her son's addicted to drugs, and the drug dealers come to collect the money. And you can either help the drug dealers or you can help the woman. Now, you can help the woman by like talking your way out of it, but I don't have that high of charisma. I tried to talk my way out of it. They weren't buying it. So I walk in, I go talk to the woman, and she was like, look, I'm not giving them the money. And I'm like, that's fine. You want me to shoot him for you? And I just like fucking, I go Batman on their asses. Well, Batman in the most extreme sense. I go Punisher on their asses.
Yeah.
And I snipe all three of them. And I was like, you get clean, kid. And all in the back of my mind, I'm like, what was I doing before this? Like, I was just living in the suburbs. Like literally, like, hundreds of years, or maybe thousands of years ago.
I think
Hundreds.
it was 200.
Yes, 277. Yeah, is the year now. 2,277, right? So 2277 and 200 years ago, but really in actual, like, how much time I've spent, 2 days before that,
Yeah.
I was just, making pies and raising my kid. Shenanigans is all I'm calling it. And I don't feel bad, like, saying, like, I don't think she had any of that training, and because it didn't switch story. She wasn't military. And also, this is based in a 50s, like, future.
Yeah.
So, and that was the norm back then,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not being like misogynistic. That's just, that was the reality of that world.
Yeah.
So I don't buy that too much. What about you, Jordan? Do you feel like that was a legitimate thing?
I mean, I really didn't think about it until you just brought it up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to be dropping bombs on you.
I mean, I'm playing as the guy, so that didn't even really occur to me. So I'm not thinking about the whole, if you play as a woman, like
well, see, that's yeah. Go ahead. No.
You're basically going from being a housewife to the next day, oh, I'm badass, I'm killing all these death claws. And...
Well, part of it that bothered me a little bit is because I did view it kind of as a positive step forward for feminism in games, because like my character is so badass. However, when you look at other stories, when you let's take FemShep for an example, really good example of that character being the same either way you go. You can woo the same people. For the most part, exactly.
Yeah.
Certain characters you come across are gay or straight.
Both of you can woo the blue-skinned alien.
Exactly. But you can woo all the bisexual. Like you can go after a woman if you're a woman, and I like that aspect of it. But also the story is completely parallel, no matter which gender role you pick. Whereas in Fallout, it is gameplay wise and story for the most part, except for like you said, you automatically assumed that military background was either way.
Yeah, I would have just assumed equality, but that's just me.
But I've been posing it as a negative, but let's twist it. And like I was saying, this is supposed to be like a 50s future. What if that's a super positive? What if they're trying to be accurate to that portrayal? Yeah. So my character can be just as badass as you, but the player, like I said, like I just assumed that she couldn't because she didn't have that military background. But even without that military background, I'm just as badass as Jordan's male character.
Right.
So I mean, it could, It's actually more of a positive now that I think about it, because even without
it fits that time period that they set it in.
Exactly. So like she wouldn't be allowed to join the military. They show that like there are women in the military, but you understand what I'm saying.
Like I was gonna say, like in I think it was Operation Anchorage.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I saw plenty of female characters.
Like the general was a female. So
yeah.
But like I automatically assume that role with the 50s, like you kind of she's kind of a housewife. She's just there. She's got the classic dress. But as soon as the shit goes down, she's just as qualified for the situation as her husband with military training.
I honestly think like narrative wise, it would make more sense for the woman to be more vendetta like.
Oh, definitely, and that's why I've been trying to play with that vengeance. So you know what? I'm glad we talked about this because I feel more positive now. The training wise, I don't think she'd be as good of a shot as she is right away.
No,
but. Badass wise, I completely buy it.
Oh, fuck yeah!
I'm glad we had this conversation, guys. Yeah. I'm gonna go away and think about some things. I'm gonna apologize to my wife because she's probably a better shot than me. So your computer couldn't run Fallout 4 that easily, so you returned to Fallout
New Vegas. Yeah.
What's it like after playing Fallout 4 returning to New Vegas?
Very disappointing.
It's that much different
from 3 to New Vegas is disappointing.
It's very empty.
Yeah. I haven't played New Vegas, but
I liked it. But
I from what people have told me, what my understanding is that people prefer New Vegas over Fallout 3 just because of gameplay wise.
Yeah, gameplay I prefer it, but Fallout 3 story wise and world,
the area
I prefer Fallout 3.
You'd rather be did 3 didn't take place in the Commonwealth. Where did that take place?
Capital Wasteland.
Wasteland. Yeah,
DC.
In, like, DC. And then New Vegas took place in, what do they call that area? It's the California coast, but
it's shoot.
I don't remember.
Oh, me neither.
I
just thought
Google.
of it.
I'll toss it in there in the footnotes. But so you said you were disappointed.
Yeah.
Was it just because of the story, or?
Well, it's also just because it's a place that I've experienced before already. I've torn New Vegas up and down.
Got you. I got you.
Like I've gone
torn
through
up
it
from the floor up.
Yep.
Gotcha.
We tore it down, then we build you up again.
So you've been there and done that. That's where the disappointment comes from. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like Fallout 4 has improved on everything. It's more just.
Oh, well, it has improved on many things, but
I agree.
but also there's a few things that I'm kind of disappointed by, but also I understand why it's not there.
Like what? Give me an example.
Mainly the weapons, how they don't degrade over time.
I got you.
Like, I was initially disappointed by that because I'm like, well, that just takes away from the survival aspect. But then I was like, well, with all this extra crafting shit they threw in here, that would just be a big old pain in the ass.
Yeah, so like that, I completely feel that way because I've been in the game maybe a total of 25 hours. You guys have, Jordan's put a lot more time into it than me just recently, but I still have been playing. Part of that is I spend all my time crafting.
Yeah.
So I've spent the majority of those 20 hours hunting down, leveling up my perks that like gun nut and armorer and science, so I can craft the best weapons and gear. So if after a little bit of time, if my gun degraded, not degraded,
My
degraded,
Degradate.
yeah. If they degraded to a certain point, and I couldn't use them anymore, I'd be super disappointed because I've put so much time into it.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
And having to keep that upkeep on a more, because you would expect that the stronger weapons would take more to improve or keep upkeep on. You know, I think I'd be a little bit annoyed at a certain point. I'm already a little annoyed about how much stuff I have to grab, but
Yeah.
I also love it. So I can see why they got rid of that.
Yeah, that's why I was very okay with it. At first, I was like, oh,
Right.
and I'm like, oh yeah.
Now the
It
armor
would
doesn't
make
say.
sense if they had like a gun servicing station where you could repair it. Or,
Yeah, I think that might be something that gets put in with mods.
yeah.
Because, like you guys were saying, like people prefer that. Armor does a similar thing, kind of like the degradation. God, I keep doing it. It degrades, and you cycle it out like with the damage, so you can build certain ones. But,
Yeah, I noticed that with the power armor that
Yeah.
still degrades,
yeah, but that's it. That's
Yeah.
like the only part of it that really.
which
does.
I'm okay with because that's a big old fucking
I
hunk of
never
metal.
use it. I feel a little overpowered when I'm in it. Like I just don't lose, and that
Yeah,
could just
I
be because I'm on
use it
normal
to go
difficulty.
to,
Like-
like a Rad's Wasteland area.
Got you. So you use it more as like a biosuit.
It would be hard for me to want to use it because like I am so like against using like a precious resource like those fusion cores.
I completely agree because I'm like I said, I'm about 25 hours into it, and I only have one.
Yeah.
But you get more, and you can still like once you encounter other power armor, you can take it from them. You can take their power armor. You can have multiple suits of armor. But like you said, that fusion core is kind of like a precious resource. It reminds me of like a little anecdote. When we first started playing Minecraft on the console, somebody told you that the diamonds were finite, but told you that there was way less than what there was. Because I remember like we were all playing, and you freaked out on me and Travis because we mined and we had some diamond. You're like, you guys, there's only so much diamond. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You freaked out, and then like later on, you're like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, there's plenty of diamonds to go around. But like you were pissed because like this is your world. You had made your home in this
Yeah.
place, and there was only so many. And I could see that being like sucky. Like, say you're 200 hours into Fallout and you can't get any more fusion cores.
Yeah, that's mainly why I don't want to even think about using them.
In the past Fallout games, like you're returning to New Vegas, was that a resource with the armor, with the power armor?
No,
or-
power armor was more like just a armor item that you would equip,
Okay,
and there was no like resource that you had to put into it. It was just
so there's a little more overpowered than what it is now.
yeah, it was just basically heavy armor in
Oh,
that game.
okay.
And it had rad resistance, but it wasn't like pure 100% blockage like this stuff is.
Yeah, it's pretty strong in this, and again, that's why I kind of avoid it, just because I'm on the normal difficulty, and it's the perfect amount of difficulty normally, like when I'm walking around. But when I'm in that power armor, I'm just a little more overpowered. And
I always think back to the super overpowered power armor that was in Fallout 3. It's, if I remember right, winterized T-51B power armor.
what does it look like?
It's the basic power armor that, well, there's like T-145 or something like that.
Okay.
But it's like it's decent looking power armor. It doesn't look like special or anything. It's just white because
Okay.
winterized. But the thing is, you get it from Operation Anchorage at the end of it, and it doesn't degrade at all.
Oh, so it is essentially the
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina, save your ass,
Yep.
wear all the time. I got you. Okay.
I don't know if that was a glitch or if that was meant to happen, but
I
think
don't
it was
know.
meant to
I think
happen.
I yeah, I feel like I would have heard about it if it was just like an infamous glitch. with the glitches and things like that in this game, I definitely can see that they improved on their system, because that was a big thing in older Bethesda games. Like we always talk about seeing mammoths flying in Skyrim, or getting stuck in a wall in like Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Not being, or our friend Travis, friend of the show, he's going to be on here in a few weeks, and he has some amazing Fallout stories.
Excited.
Yeah, he's hilarious, but he's played more Fallout than I know of anybody. Like, because for a long time, like I get into a lot of different games. We tell stories about me skipping school to play fighting games and stuff. Travis only played Fallout, so like he would glitch through walls and like have like impossible weaponry. So like he's seen everything to see in those games, and that's just like people put it as a negative, but also people give Bethesda a pass on those things because the glitches are part of the experience now because we've played them for so long. How do you guys feel about those?
Like, I don't know. Like with some of their more older games that were a bit more polished at the time, because you couldn't just keep releasing patch after patch to fix everything.
Right.
Like with like Morrowind.
Mm-hmm.
Like there weren't as many glitches that I know of.
Morrowind, I think, was probably the best when it comes to glitches. Like or worst, I guess. You know, they had no glitches really, from my knowledge. I don't remember any glitches.
I just don't really understand where this magical pass that we give that company came from.
I think it came from Fallout 3 because we hadn't seen a game like that before. Because I mean, they were known for Morrowind. And did Oblivion? Yeah, Oblivion came out before Fallout 3.
Yep.
Yeah, but then when Fallout 3 came, it was like that, but it was in this futuristic world, and it was essentially a first-person shooter, but with those RPG elements, and the world was so vast. And even though Morrowind was huge, a lot of people didn't experience it off the consoles.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you got those expansions on the computer. But that world was so big and so different and so new, and it blew everybody out of the water. People who played Morrowind were not in the mainstream. Like, you didn't find those people who only played Call of Duty playing Morrowind. That wasn't a thing that happened. But everybody played Fallout 3. Mm-hmm. It did kind of come out of nowhere. So I think that's where it gets the pass. It's because it changed so many people's perspective on that genre. And now pass is the wrong word, because people are still upset about the glitches and stuff. But it's also become part of the charm, I think, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's also where part of the pass does. I mean, like, we talk about it in a fun way. Like Jordan, you know, you were telling me, like, all the stories you had about seeing like upside down mammoths flying through the the world.
Yeah, you see a giant turn around and swing his club and hit the mammoth, and the mammoth goes just flying in the air, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
It does create like a sort of experience that you just don't get with any other game.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. Also, the game still works. Like, other than Skyrim on the PS3, which was infamously or notoriously terrible. Like, it just did not work. You could not play that game until later on patches. Like, it just did not operate.
Yeah, what was it? They got like the DLC like a year later than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And it was terrible. But that wasn't part of that. Maybe it was. I know Microsoft for a long time had a DLC like deal. Like, Xbox 360 got all of the Fallout 3 DLC way before PS3 did.
Right.
But that was because of that. So I don't know if it was because of the problems with those games or if it was just part of the exclusivity. But like we were saying, it is partly charm. It is partly we're used to it. You know, that's another thing is they get a pass because we've just come. This is what Bethesda makes. You know, this is what we deal with. They're not the best graphics in the world because they give you this giant world that you can get immersed in. And that's part of the immersion, I feel like. It doesn't pull me out of these games when I see that mammoth flying through the air.
Yeah.
Or Dogmeat is stuck on a wall sitting, and he's like Spider-Man like, up against it, you know? It doesn't pull me out of it. It's just part of that world now. And I don't know if that's just because nuclear radiation is the end-all, be-all of superhero origins, so I just assume anything's possible with nuclear waste, but...
Just gravity barriers, man.
So, getting away from New Vegas and Fallout 3 in their past, Jordan, you've put the most time into it than any of us. Just give me your reaction to Fallout 4. Obviously, you love it. You're how many hours in? 40 hours in? Something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, about 30 to 40 hours.
Yeah, okay.
I love it. I'm the kind of person that likes to, as much as they can, go with like the main story.
Okay.
And then I do a lot of the side quests afterwards, or once I go halfway through the main story, I go back and do like half of the side quests.
Right.
But this whole time, there's so much going on that I can't just go through the main story. I have to go fix my settlement, do stuff with that, then go do some other side quests, go with the Brotherhood of Steel, go off and do other things just randomly off the side, helping out farms,
right,
all that kind of stuff.
It does seem like it's easy to get lost in.
Yeah.
One big thing for me is say I'll take Oblivion or Skyrim for example. I always go through the main storyline with those first because it's easiest, and I know it's not worst is a bad way to put it, but it's the least meaty of all of the stories in those games. Bethesda does such a good job of creating these worlds that the main story is usually the least interesting to me. Like that's like Fallout 4 definitely has one of the more compelling stories out of all of them. So I do want to do that story. But like I said, like I explained to you guys before, when I played Fallout 3, I never played the story. I left the vault looking for my dad, which is kind of the reverse of Fallout. I wanted to talk about that. In Fallout 3, you're looking for your father, and in Fallout 4, you're the parent looking for your kid. So I mean, there's a little bit of contrast there. But you leave and you're immediately met with this giant open world because I didn't know what Fallout was going to be. I just saw that you were in the vault, and then you walk out and your character's even like, "What's this sky thing?
Yeah.
Why is the ceiling so tall?" And you have this massive world to explore. And I was a little bit more compelled by the opportunity of it than the main story, and I'm like that in Fallout 4 as well. How do you feel about that, Jordan? Like you're doing the main story, but you're getting distracted. Do you feel fulfilled by the distractions, or are you annoyed by the distractions?
I'm fulfilled by them. I mean, it's nice. I'm the kind of person that once you are going with one specific task or one specific quest, you get bored of it after a little while. As interesting as it might be, you're just like, I'm getting tired of this. But those side things, once you go back to do something else, it's something else entirely.
Right.
You're doing something different. You just continue playing the game instead of quitting for a while.
Avoiding too many spoilers for the main story, what's your favorite aspect of the side stuff? What's your favorite side quest you've done so far?
Favorite side quests? I mean, I've only gotten a little bit into the Brotherhood of Steel.
Okay.
But that one's pretty fun so far.
Yep. That one struck me a little bit more as these people are willing to do anything. So I'm kind of excited to go through that because my favorite stories in Skyrim or Oblivion or Morrowind is doing the Brotherhood of Evil.
Dark Brotherhood.
Dark Brotherhood.
I
That's-
love the Dark Brotherhood.
Because, I mean, you're an assassin. Those missions are so cool, and I know, like, the Brotherhood of Steel aren't assassins, but they're a little bit more... Like, the Minutemen are, like, the paragons of this world. Like, do good, for the good of the Commonwealth.
Whatever there is to help other people or to do good, go do that.
Go do that. Whereas the Brotherhood of Steel are very militarized.
Yeah, they traditionally care about the technology more than humanity.
Exactly. So I'm excited to see where that goes with that storyline. So that one is really interesting to me. Dave, you haven't played Fallout 4 too much. What's your favorite? Give me your favorite war story out of any of the Fallouts.
Oh, geez.
Like whether it be a side quest or just, hey, this cool thing happened to me. I came across this thing.
Okay, well, my favorite moment in New Vegas was I was like, there's this huge rock quarry early on in the game that is just filled to the brim with Deathclaws.
Right.
And there's a Deathclaw alpha male and a Deathclaw alpha female, too.
Oh, shit.
They're fucking huge. The female's bigger than the male, and she's evil. She's Satan incarnate. She's black. And I mean, not racism, but
no, but I see what you're saying. Like she does look like this like shadow demon.
Very imposing figure.
Yeah, it reminds me of a couple of the large creatures towards the end of Diablo 2. Like it's just like this giant black horn thing. They don't have wings, but like their arm span is kind of like that. I completely understand what you're saying.
And I was not usually a sneaky character, but I had gotten my sneak up recently. I wasn't super high, but I was hiding out in this quarry trying to survive. I'd killed a handful of Deathclaws using, small arms. Well, not small arms, but the larger of the small arms.
So not only are you racist, but you're also sizist.
Yes.
Okay. Continue. I just want the listeners to know who they're listening to.
Of course. They need to know what I'm about. But finally, I get on this perch. I'm like on this high part of this quarry. And I'm just scared shitless whether or not this one shot with my anti-material rifle is going to take out this alpha female.
Because it's going to take you down.
Oh, she's going to murder my ass.
Right.
And it's just the tension of me deciding, should I just shoot or should I just get the fuck out?
See, that is so awesome. So how did it end? Like, did you get out of there or?
Well, it ended with me laughing hysterically because that one shot killed it outright.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Just
awesome.
head off, and even the limbs popped off.
What
too.
about the other one?
Oh, they murdered me.
That's kind of awesome. Now, like, I come across things like that all the time in Fallout 4. Like, especially with the robots. So the interesting thing about robots, when you come across the legendary or just like the heavier hitting ones, the ones with like the skull next to your name, or the ones with a star, which means they're legendary, they can usually heal themselves, which they call mutate when it's a human. I don't know what it's called when it's a robot. But when you come across these enemies, they're really hard to take down. But part of the thing is when you're fighting one of the synths or one of the robots, is there's usually a panel nearby that you can hack and either get them, not join you, they can't be your companions, but you can use them to fight off other things, or be benevolent to you, at least in the short term, so you don't have to kill them outright right away.
Yeah.
So it's, you gamble a little bit, like, if I kill it, I can get some awesome stuff, or I can take the safer route, try to hack them and get away. So it's kind of balancing that act. Now, this isn't my story. I was listening to IGN's Vault podcast, which is an awesome Fallout 4 podcast, or Fallout in general, but mostly Fallout 4. And it's called Vault IGN. Totally check it out. It's got Jared Petty and a bunch of the other editors from IGN. It's an awesome podcast. They were telling this anecdote from Justin Davis, which is another editor at IGN. He's awesome. He was saying he was exploring the wasteland, and the main guy from the Minutemen, Preston Garvey, isn't that his name? He's at your base. He's one of the first NPCs you meet.
Right.
This guy walks up to him in the wasteland and was like, "Hi, I'm the leader of the Minutemen, Preston Garvey." Clearly not. Like, you know Preston Garvey, you've been with him the entire time. And he answers like, "No, you're not." And the guy goes, "Huh, you're right," and walks away. And that's just the end of it. And that completely encapsulates what I love about Fallout, because like I said, I'm not super into the main story, but I was just adventuring and I come across this town and I was super scared because there's like painting all over the walls, save the robots, damn the man. And it was like, it's very rebel 60s kind of stuff, but it's really dark. It's clearly a farmhouse. It's very Manson-esque. You know, like that compound like that they pulled him out of? It looked like that, and there's just one Mr. Gutsy rolling around. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Because like, I was pretty low level. I was over encumbered. I had no ammo left, essentially, because I'd been traveling so long. I was getting ready to head back to Sanctuary. But I came across this farm. I'm like, I need to check this out. And so I'm sneaking around because like I'm hidden. He can't tell I'm there. I'm going to see if I can grab anything out there. Some feral ghouls come out. He doesn't even touch them. Just keeps circling around. I'm like, okay. And they start attacking me, so I kill all these feral ghouls. They're coming out of the woodwork, man. And they're clearly the people that used to live at this compound. And that's what it was. It was a compound. It was totally, maybe even like a retreat. And then finally, I'm like, I get the guts up, and I'm like, I think I have enough ammo because I pulled some off the feral ghouls, and we're going to take down this Mr. Gutsy. I walk up to him, he's like, "Hey, bro, keep it cool." And just floats away. And his name was Mr. Feelgood.
That's awesome.
The hippies had reprogrammed this Mr. Gutsy to just be like their nature nurture friend, and just flies away. And that's one of my settlements now. I don't remember the name of it. And he just walks around. He's like, "Man, peace, love." And it's just one of those things that can happen in that game. It's like you run across those like random enemies. Yep. You just run into two factions fighting. Every time you walk into a city, there's always like synths fighting raiders or the
raiders fighting whatever settlers are in that city.
Children of the Atom, like those super radiated guys with like gamma guns, fighting anybody. It's just neat to see that happen. Like when a Deathclaw shows up, everybody turns on the Deathclaw. They're still trying to kill you too, but like they also know the Deathclaw can kill them.
Yeah.
So it's neat to kind of like temporarily team up with their enemies. As long as you keep your distance, you're all fighting that Deathclaw.
Yeah, sort of like the dragons in Skyrim.
Exactly. Like, no matter who you're fighting, they're like, "Dragon!"
Everybody fights it, and then afterwards they turn on you and start fighting you because you're their enemy.
Exactly.
Whereas if I would have just saw the soul of a dragon fly into a man, I would run the other way.
Right. Also, if I run into any man carrying a claymore and wearing a skull as armor, I feel like I'm going to let him get a pass. Like,
yeah.
do what you need to do.
But, they never say that the bandits are the smartest of the bunch.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It takes some guts. I mean, like, you kill them all like they're just dumb red shirts, but I mean, when there be dragons and you're still exploring, like, more power to you. Jordan, what's your favorite like war story? What's the favorite thing you've come across randomly in those games?
Let's see. I don't know. I just enjoy when you're coming across like the super mutants.
Okay.
And most recently, this is where I'm like saved at right now. I don't remember the city I'm in. But there's like a whole pack of super mutants, probably like 8 of them just running around. Half of them have like the explosives that they're holding.
Right.
And they run at you and explode. And
Yeah.
Piper is my companion right now. And I just kind of let her run off and go like shoot them. And then he'll just explode right by her. It's like, she'll just get back up.
So coming across those super mutant dens, me and Dave were playing last night, and he was watching me. And I come across this island, and I was like, okay. And I see it's the first super mutant I've sighted in this game. I'm like, oh, cool, super mutant. Dave's like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize it was a nest. It did look like there was just the one.
Yeah, I didn't see any others.
No, we didn't see any others. And I shoot him. It doesn't even do shit to him.
No.
It's like a fraction of his. And I have a really powerful sniper rifle, even though I'm low level. Like it's maxed out as far as possible. And I hit him right in the head. And like, well, it did a substantial amount of damage. He still had plenty left. And all of a sudden, he sicks this giant ass dog on me. Just like comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
These like mutated dogs. So that chases after me. And then this other one flanked me the entire time. Like he knew I was there because I wasn't paying attention while I was sneaking. And apparently, after I shot, they had flanked me. And one comes from around and blows me up with a Molotov cocktail. One shot, just. But they have those suicide bomber like tacklers that can kill you in one hit no matter what. So I mean, it's just
charge right after you.
I love these
my
games.
God.
It's what I Fallout like. This was put on like they talked about this on that podcast. I don't mean to copy them, but it was just such a good way to put it. Fallout is what I thought MMOs were going to be.
Yeah, I totally get that.
You know, where you just you get immersed in this world where you can do different roles. It's why I love flight simulators, space flight simulators, especially because I can be anything I want to be. I can be a trader. I can be a smuggler. I can be a bounty hunter. I can be a raider. And you can do those things in these games. In an MMO, it usually follows, okay, man, you can heal or you can do DPS. You know? And whereas in these games, anything's possible. And it's hard to turn that into a multiplayer genre. I don't know how I feel about Fallout joining like multiplayer ranks because I played Elder Scrolls Online and I didn't like it. And that's essentially what that would be like.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys feel about this being just a solo game that you put 200 hours into?
I love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would be very interested in there being system link capability, but we all know that's gone out the fucking door.
How the reason why I disagree with you there is how would that even work? Like
I know it's not even feasible, but I would love the idea of it.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean if they could make it work, it was like the first time I played Saints Row.
Yeah.
They gave you that full city to run around in separately but together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were in the same instance, but you weren't tied to the same screen.
Yeah.
You know, could you play split screen in Saints Row?
No.
I thought you. Yeah.
Saints Row System Link was so much fun.
Yeah, it was what the future of that kind of genre and what you could do with that multiplayer. I don't know how that would translate to Fallout. Jordan, you're more you play the competitive games with me. You're the guy I hook up with when we want to play esports.
Yeah.
What do you feel about there being multiplayer added? Like if they did a Fallout Online like they did Elder Scrolls.
I would love it. I mean, I didn't play much of Elder Scrolls Online. I've watched other people play it, and it's interesting. I think it looks cool and looks fun, but not as fun as it could have been.
Right. I feel like
I think they could have done it differently and a lot better.
Like, say if Bethesda would have handled it rather than a third party.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying there. I think
like made it more like the way that their games play, but in like an MMO style.
I see what you're saying. Like, toss two people into Skyrim. Kind
Exactly.
Of thing. Rather be an MMO, rather have it just a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Like Halo, 4 players.
Yeah.
At max. I think I like what you're saying. I think that would be
yeah,
fun.
that's what I would want.
Multiplayer, just like shoot 'em up type.
Like an arena.
Like you know how like Call of Duty has or Black Ops has their zombies mode.
Zombies, right? Like you could have like a mode where like your hero has a set of skills. Like you pick the warrior who has a two-handed axe. You pick the mage who is Bioshocking 2 different magics in each hand. Like an arena style hero kind of combat. Mm-hmm. I think that I like where that's going. If there was going to be multiplayer in that series, that's how I'd want it to go. Elder Scrolls Online, while I like MMOs and I love Skyrim, it wasn't peanut butter and jelly for me. It wasn't what I wanted out of that multiplayer experience, and I feel like Fallout would do that. But, I mean, there are some people who are like, every other game has multiplayer-wise in Fallout. And I'm not disappointed that it doesn't because I play it with you guys. I feel like I'm sharing that experience because we're all playing in the same room.
Play at the same time, just like talk about it, and it's almost like we're playing together in the same world. And
exactly. Another thing that people are talking about all over the place, and it's really getting substantial on IGN. I keep going to IGN just because like they have really good Fallout coverage, you know?
Yeah.
And Kotaku was saying the same thing. This is the closest thing we have when we were kids and there wasn't internet. Just discovering things because the world is so big not everything's in a manual already. You know? There is no walkthrough for everything, so I can go, Jordan, did you get to this quest? In this room, there's a hidden fat boy that you can grab, you know? Like, there's so much to discover in these worlds. Whereas Skyrim, I felt was a little bit empty. I know it had all the lush green, but I didn't get lost in it the same way I got lost in Fallout.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But real quick, because I got to get going, because I have a day job. But I got one more war story, and this one's from Fallout 3.
Awesome.
It was when I first loaded up all the DLC. I'm like level 20. I get to like level 23. I'm just exploring. Out of nowhere, giant albino rad scorpion.
That's a thing?
Yeah. From the levels 20 and up, the enemies get bigger and crazier.
And albino.
Yep.
So you're not racist. You also hate white
of
things.
course.
Okay.
I hate all things.
Oh, that makes more sense.
But I was scared out of my mind. I'm running through like rocks, ducking and everything, trying to get away from this giant freaking scorpion. I'm trying to kill it, whatever I can throw at it. Finally, I murder the bastard. My health is so low that like my character is breathing heavily. And then I turn, and on this hill right next to me is a super mutant, and he's just holding a super sledge, just like slapping it in his hand, like I'm gonna have to get to work today. And I'm just like, oh fuck, and then and he just had this look on his face, like, yep, this is gonna happen.
And that's the kind of thing Fallout tends to just, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to Jordan and a storm hit, so I'm trying to hide from the radiation because I had none of the stuff to protect me yet. And a rad scorpion comes out of the ground. And he was like, yeah, man, that helps. I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Then all of the blood bugs come out of the door. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I turn around, 7 raiders.
And a Yao guy just comes chasing.
Yeah, exactly. Just dead. Same thing. Like I went to trade with Trash Can Carlo, which is an amazing name, and we're talking. You know, I'm bantering with her. I'm getting ready to shop, and like mid clicking on Let's Trade, she goes, "What the shit?" And she pulls out her gun, and 2 glowing feral ghouls come out. They're called glowing ones. I didn't know that was a thing either.
Yep.
And Jordan's just like, I didn't know those ones were in this game. And I'm like, is there a thing? He's like, yeah, man, they're the worst. As I die from this giant green thing attack.
They're shitty.
And that's just, the game does not give a fuck.
Nope.
And I love it. I love it. Like you were saying, almost in Mad Max style, when you go outside of the world, like when you hit the border, it doesn't directly kill you. The radiation picks up, and there's just death claws everywhere.
Yeah,
what was that like seeing that?
Well, it was in part of the actual main quest that I had to go out there for. It kind of turns all rocky and all like magma looking area, and you're just like running around. There's a few rad scorpions, and you look up at the top of the hill, and there's 2 death claws like fighting each other up there.
That's awesome.
Turn around the other side, there's more death claws, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of creep my way through here and see if I can make it.
Right.
But which I did eventually. But yeah, it was just crazy going out there. I had the power armor on to keep myself protected from the rads.
I'm excited to get lost for another 20 hours at least, probably more like 100 hours, because this game's engulfed everything. You know, we had like 2 other games we had started, and Fallout 4 has just eclipsed it.
Yeah,
I still want to finish Metal Gear Solid 5. I don't think that's happening.
I don't think you're ever gonna do that.
I wanted to start going through the Kingdom Hearts games. I bought the HD collections. Haven't been able to finish those yet.
I actually was just thinking last night, I really want to do that again.
Well, I have them. Like, we could totally do that. I'm almost done with 1.5, so I can give you that, and I'll switch over to 2.5, and we can cover that a little bit. We're going to start getting Let's Plays out soon, so look out for those. We are Cave Trolls on YouTube. We don't have anything up on there yet, so there's just a picture of us. I think we're flipping off the camera or something. I'm not sure.
Usually, I mean, that's just my go-to.
That's just your general. Dave's got to go to work, so Dave, sign off.
All right, boys, I'm out of here. Good luck, everyone.
Don't die out there in the wasteland.
Yeah.
It's actually snowing hardcore outside.
Fuck that shit.
Could be nuclear fallout.
If you need any help, just give either of us
I'm going
a
out
call.
into the I'm going out into the nuclear winter. You all have a nice day.
I shoveled around your car, but like since you're parked in the grass because there's 7 people that live in this house and there's not enough room for parking, you might get stuck. So just go ahead and come on up, give us a holler. We'll help push you out of here. Have fun.
See ya.
All right, Dave's out of here. Thank God. Now we can have a real conversation. Dave opens the door and my dog just pokes his head and he's like, I want to be with you.
So next week we have Grayson on the podcast.
We should just give him a mic and just see what happens. You know, maybe
chewing on it.
Most like just grabs our windscreens and takes them out. So
randomly, you just hear breathing in the microphone.
We've been talking about Fallout for 45 minutes, so why stop now?
Yeah.
Do you now that we've played Fallout 4? Can you go back to the older ones?
I mean, I've really been thinking about it because I do have Fallout 3 and New Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll go back to New Vegas or not because I did enjoy playing it, but I don't know. I love Fallout 3 more than New Vegas.
Right.
I could probably go back and play that one.
As a newcomer kind of to the series, I played a little bit of Fallout 3, but I never really got too far into it. Dave forgot his banana. As kind of a newcomer, would you recommend me going back? Do you think I can handle it? Is the gameplay or the mechanics more advanced from Fallout 4 to where I would feel like going back and playing an NES?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, they are a little bit more advanced, but more so different.
Okay,
advanced.
So not so much antiquity. It's just antiquated. That's where it's
yeah. And what I was gonna do was play Fallout 3 before Fallout 4 came out, but I never got to it.
That's not like saying, okay, I'm gonna beat the arcade mode for Tekken before Tekken 2 comes out.
No,
that's not the same thing.
It's
That's a big investment.
It is, and
right now I'm going through the Uncharted games again. I have 1, 2, and 3, and I was thinking about buying the HD collection for PS4 because I have those on PS3, but they don't look that much better. So I'm trying to go through those, and I went through 1 and 2 in like a day.
Yeah,
like if you want to go through Fallout, maybe if you just ran through and did the main story mission, you can do it, but that's a lot to get lost in.
Yeah, and I probably would have gotten lost in it again just playing it, but I would have had fun. And then Fallout 4, I would have gotten lost more. But
do you think it would hook me the same way? Because, like I said, my favorite thing for Fallout 4 is building my town and crafting. Is there anything even remotely like that I could get lost in, or is it just maybe I'd have fun leveling up and exploring?
I mean, yeah, I would say more fun leveling up, exploring, just kind of going through the different areas, picking up the stuff that you find, and going around killing shit.
I mean, that was the fun I had. I had so much fun doing that. I didn't get into the story, which when I found out Liam Neeson was my dad, I was like, maybe I'd enjoy this more once I go through it. So I might return. I have such a big backlog that I want to play. I might not get to it. Now that we're starting to do Let's Plays, I feel like I'm going to play more entertaining things. I don't know if people really want to see me, a newcomer, play Fallout 3 because it's going to be bad. Like just so bad at it.
Yeah. And maybe, I mean, we'll probably end up getting Battlefront pretty soon, too.
Yeah.
Once we're done with our little Fallout ventures.
We'll have a little bit of discussion left because we have about 10 more minutes here. Battlefront. You're a PC gamer, primarily. You own a 360. But you didn't make the jumps to new consoles. You never played your 360 anyways, really.
I did for a long time, and then the last few months of
playing
it, I didn't really do.
Gotcha. You obviously want me to get Battlefront on the PC, so we can play it together. So that's probably where I'm going to get it. But I've seen it on consoles. It's running well. Do you prefer to play games on your PC?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's just easier?
I prefer to play it on my PC because I know, beforehand that it can handle it usually.
Right.
And if I know that it's not going to, I won't get it until it's able to.
Right.
And usually the consoles are pretty good about that, but a lot of times you'll get a game like, holy shit, I didn't realize that this certain aspect's not working as well because things.
A lot of times you see, and what I'm referencing with Battlefront is now there's a little bit more parallels across the board with it, but before big team battles, we'll use that as an example, you could only have maybe half of what you were available on the PC when you played on the console. So at most 16 were on the console. Some games went up to 40 players, you know? Mm-hmm. That was a big thing. Now that's almost the same across the board. I almost prefer games on my consoles because I know it'll work. Now I have a really good rig for my PC, so most games work on it anyways. I'm running Fallout on max, and I don't have to worry about it at all. But in the future, I might be worried. And one of the problems I come across now is my drivers aren't updated or, little things that you can do if you know how to work a PC well.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is just annoying when I know if I bought it for my PS4, I can pop the disc in, I can play it. So sometimes I get a little weary about that. The other one, we talked about it a bunch last week, is Overwatch.
Yeah, that's that's next spring, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes out in June. And it looks the same across the board, whether it's on PC or console. And now it's going to be a little bit faster on PC just because Twitch is easier with a mouse and keyboard. Yeah. It just is. People might not understand because you play with it, but the reason why I bring this up to you is you play most of our first-person shooters on the PC with a controller.
Not most of them. I just play some. Like Skyrim, and I played with mouse for the longest time, and then
Did
I
you?
switched to controller because at that time I was playing a lot of Xbox games, so I was used to a controller again.
Gotcha.
I switch back and forth all the time.
Okay.
It's just different. I'm used to both, so
Do you prefer one over the other for shooters, or?
not necessarily. I go back and forth with both because, like with the controller, I've always played a controller before I played PC, so I'm used to just playing every game with a controller. And then I started playing PC like 5 years ago,
Right.
So then I got used to that. And on PC, I think shooters are a lot easier in a way once you're used to the way like the mouse works and everything, because you're aiming, you can move
Right.
a lot better, like more accurately.
See, I feel strange about it because definitely with Twitch shooters, and I say Twitch shooters, they'll say like, we'll use an example, Doom or Quake. It's the mouse and keyboard is just far superior. Even moving over, like I started playing Call of Duty on here. I played a lot of Halo 1 on the computer. And now we're moving into Team Fortress 2, and I'm playing Fallout with a mouse and keyboard. It's definitely superior in that aspect. More is available. But in the same way where I don't play with a fight stick, I love fighting games, and I prefer the PS1 controller out of all controllers to play them with. I feel more at home with a controller than I do with the mouse and keyboard. Even though I can tell it's superior, it's just not the same to me.
Yeah, the other thing is I get tired of like that PC gaming position. Like your right arm is like extended off to the side, and your left arm is like rested.
Exactly,
but
it's like a claw type motion that hurts my hand so much, and I think it's partly that too that gets annoying. With Fallout, I constantly have to take breaks because it hurts. Same thing with like when we do like a league binge, like I have to take like a 20-minute break because like my hand's not working because I'm stuck on 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
I can't relax the same way. Like when I switch to a controller, because I play a lot of games on the PC with the controller, and I just sit back. I'm so much more comfortable. I'm so much more at ease. So, and I think I've just come accustomed to games working. So, like I love the console, but now that I play more games with you, I'm buying more games for the PC, and I'm so torn because I don't have many friends that have made the jump yet because their consoles are still expensive.
PCs are expensive to get.
But you have to
customize them.
exactly, and that's why I don't knock you for like going like, hey man, like get a PS4. I don't do that because you've already put enough money into your rig the same as I have. Or like you kind of made that investment. Like you kind of have to. It's not make your bed and lie in it because it's a good thing. Like PC is a frugal way to play because it works. However, they're gonna keep putting games on my PS4. Eventually, you're gonna have to upgrade your PC.
Right.
So I mean, there is a little bit
at the
of a
same
knock
time,
there.
my PC's been upgraded like a year before like the PS4 came out.
Right.
And
But how much have you put into your PC?
Overall,
I don't mean to put you on the spot here.
I can't even remember. Over 1,000, I know.
Over 1,000, and that's rough, But for a fact, like all these games will work, obviously with that rig, and they'll, in a lot of aspects, they do look better than the console.
Yeah.
But we're getting to a point where there's such a parallel across the board with these. I don't notice too much of a difference nowadays.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at the screens for Battlefront on both PC and on console, and I
did
did
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't. I mean, it was obvious that the PC the sheen on like the stormtroopers armor looked a lot better. But overall, I didn't see a huge difference. Not enough that it would bother me.
Right.
Like with multiplayer, and with the console space, it's a little less volatile. Like people aren't so mean on there, and also less chances of cheaters.
That's
I know. Like Steam's done a really good job of implementing so many different resources to where people can't cheat, but it still happens. You still come across hackers in Team Fortress 2. Black Ops was a big one. I had to stop playing Black Ops because there were so many cheaters.
Ghosts, there were a lot of cheaters too.
Ghost was really bad.
I got leveled up really quick because of some cheaters.
That's what I mean. It's easier to do on the PC. There's so many more options, so many more mods, so many more plugins that you can use.
Yep.
And it's hard to do that on consoles nowadays.
Yeah.
Like Xbox 360 was the last time I really had trouble with it. With Halo 3, people were using mod chips and lag switches, which really sucks. You got people warping through walls and chamming and aimbotting. And people who play esports, they know what these words mean. To other people, it's just like people being able to snipe you through walls, people being able to teleport to your location and kill you instantly.
Yep.
These are things that you have to deal with when you play multiplayer on PC. And now also PC players are a little bit more vengeant with it. Like if they catch you and you're cheating, you'll never be able to play it on that server again.
Exactly.
And part of the fun with PC gaming when it comes to those esport games is picking your server. So you can find a group of people that like to play the same kind of game modes as you. You know, you're always going to get a game. You don't have to worry about matchmaking. You always have that game to play. People that play the same play style, so you don't have to worry about cheaters. You know, you kind of get into a groove there. So that's kind of awesome. But it is hit or miss.
Yeah,
and there's not always a community for it. Battlefield was a big one. Battlefield was awesome because on the console and on the PC you had servers. So I always found people to play with. Battlefield doesn't have that. Not Battlefield. Battlefront is all matchmaking based, like Halo. So I don't know. It's going to come and go. I don't know which ones I'm buying it on. Wherever you guys, if you guys want us to buy it on a certain console and you want to play with us, if you're listening, you can totally hit us up. Like I'll drop the email on our Twitter. You know, tweet at us. We'll join you. Like we're big gamers. Like we spend the majority of our time either reading comic books or gaming.
Not so much reading comic books lately, but
it's just expensive. We've talked about that enough.
I know.
This is like I was looking back, and people who listen to this podcast obviously know. Like we've slowly switched from a gaming podcast to a comic book podcast
back to a gaming podcast.
But if there's something you guys want to hear us talk about, totally let us know. We like talking about everything. You know, we have weeks where we just talk about comic books. We have weeks where we just talk about D&D.
Give us a topic and we'll talk for 2 hours on it.
Exactly. We try to get away from the news as much as possible because you guys don't come for us to news. We're not a news outlet. We're not journalists. You know, you care what we have to say about it more than reporting it. You've already heard
it. The news, so don't give us news.
Whereas I follow every single gaming website. Every time you come with me to a date, I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I was just reading this one article off Kotaku, and it was corroborated on IGN, and then they listed it on GameSpot, and you're like, okay, man, maybe the date was wrong.
Yeah. And I went back to the article. The date was right, but they were talking about the wrong game.
Which happens, you know, like when we troll the internet like that, it's hard to keep up.
That's why I don't like the internet, is because everything's always wrong until you get 15 people on top of it.
Yeah, you know, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Don't believe 98% of things you read on the internet.
One final thing that I want to talk about, because we're about to binge all of it, is Jessica Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I did watch the first episode last night.
What'd you think of the first episode?
Oh, it's so good. I'm watching the rest of them now.
Can you believe they did the sex scene?
I didn't expect it.
I did not expect. I mean, I knew they were going to do a version of it.
Right.
But they went balls out. I mean, other than actual balls out, there was no nudity.
Yeah.
But she swore. The only thing, one big notable exception, which I'm fine with the character, she doesn't smoke.
Yeah.
And I'm completely fine with that because it's not really needed.
Exactly.
But she does drink like heavily.
Yeah.
Like even like I'm a little bit confused because it didn't quite have that in the comic book. Spoilers for the first episode of Jessica Jones. We're not going to go too far into the story, but there's just one aspect that I want to talk about. So if you don't like this, we're about at the end here, so you can dive out and come back for the footnotes. But we're going to talk a little bit about the first episode of Jessica Jones. So if you don't want to hear about it, see you later. But if you're like us and you're going to binge watch all of it, listen to us in the next couple of minutes. So she goes out in the middle of the night because she can't sleep, and she takes pictures of random people. Now, she's, like, very voyeuristic with this. Like, she was, like, at first I thought she was investigating somebody. Then it was obvious she was just stalking random people.
Exactly, yeah.
And like, the reason why I brought this up is because, like, she's just drinking, like, whiskey out of a water bottle while she's doing this. Now, like, you've read the Jessica Jones comic book, right?
Yep.
I didn't miss that, right? Like, she did not do that in the comic book.
Not that I remember.
Yeah, she wasn't just stalking random people. So, did you like that change? I mean, it's interesting.
I mean, I didn't not like it.
Right.
It was just...
It definitely strikes me as like a form of escapism for her. She's dealing with PTSD.
Yeah.
From the Purple Man, and I that is one way to cope with it. It's very interesting. I did find it interesting. The sex thing, though, man. They went all out.
Yeah.
And, like, while they didn't, like, same thing with the comic book, they didn't implicitly say it, but, like, they kind of hint that she might have did the whole, anal sex thing, which was the big controversy from Max back in the day.
Yeah.
I blew my mind. I thought that was a really well-handled scene, though. Like, while it is, like, it's not, like, distasteful or anything. Like, it is very, it's a sex scene, but it wasn't, like, gratuitous or anything,
No.
It was handled as well as it could. It got the point across. It was quite emotional, actually. Like when she finds the picture of his girlfriend, which
Yep.
they handled it in a good way, because in the comic book she goes to see him and she knocks on the door and his girlfriend's there.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the fuck you doing here? Like, I'm with this girl. Like, you can't be here."
And then what the fuck?
Exactly. And then in this, like, she finds the picture and she just leaves and says sorry. Like,
Sorry.
And he doesn't stop her. And I was like, "Oh, that was a really good way to handle that scene." I thought that was really good. What did you think of how they portrayed the Purple Man's power so far?
I mean,
We haven't seen him. Like,
right, we haven't seen him. I don't know. I like it.
It's good.
It's good. We'll see.
I like how they tied the kidnapping blocks. Like the first story arc of Jessica Jones, the comic book, is her looking for this kidnapped kid, and they did it in a way where they could introduce the Purple Man this time because he had nothing to do with the original kidnapping. But since we don't have that much time to be introduced to her detective skills, they use this as a way to show that she basically just uses the internet. Mm-hmm. And being a detective is not that hard in 2015. I liked how they did that. I mean, we already said we were going to spoil Jessica Jones. What did you think of the ending of that first episode?
Holy shit.
The elevator scene?
Yeah.
Fuck, I know that...
It made me just want to continue watching it last night, but I was like, oh, I'm so tired.
I knew something was going to happen because the build up. Because like she's like, I'll meet you there. I thought the Purple Man was going to show up. I thought that was going to be the end. I thought he was going to step out of like a door or something.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I feel like he might have been nearby, and I feel like that might be part of episode 2. I haven't watched episode 2 yet, but I feel like that's got to be part of it because she explicitly explains that time and distance will remove his powers, whereas she's been away from that hotel room and at Jessica's for presumably a couple hours.
Yeah.
And she still, goes, not kamikaze, but, goes crazy at the end there. Do you think he's nearby? Do you think that is part of it? Or
possibly,
or am I crazy?
I mean, I don't think you're crazy. I think it's possible.
Right.
I mean, anything could be possible, but...
I liked how they portrayed her, not necessarily cowardly, but rightfully afraid. Like, I'm not going to hunt this guy down, I'm going to leave.
Right.
Like, she almost didn't save the kid.
Yeah.
She almost didn't even go back for that girl.
Well, I don't blame her.
No, me neither. Like when you you don't know what he's done, but it's very highly interpreted as sexual assault in this series. In the comic book, he doesn't directly sexually assault her, but he might as well have. Like he tortured her for months, making her watch, explicitly, violent and sexually violent like crimes. And gave her PTSD and traumatized her for life. And there's definitely setting it up to be like that for this series. And, that was the crux, was like worrying that this is going to happen to somebody else. So that's what kind of pulls the hero out in her at the end. Yeah. Do you think they're going to keep down this dark path? Do you think every episode's going to be this dark?
Maybe not every episode, but I mean, I don't know. They very well might.
Right. I mean, when you saw where they went with
Daredevil was pretty dark throughout every episode. I mean, there was always some sort of...
Oh, yeah, there's definitely levity in it. And part of Jessica Jones was also... It was one of the darkest comic books I ever read.
Exactly.
But it was also one of the funniest. I mean, the dark humor of it,
Yeah.
One thing that I am wondering, and I want to see because it's possible... we talked about before on a couple podcasts back... when we were talking about Jessica Jones, is they can't do the Spider-Man subplot. She can't go to high school with Peter because Peter's still in high school.
Yeah.
They can still do Ant-Man, though.
They can.
They can still do her dating Scott Lang. Do you think that's a possibility?
I think it's possible. It's part of the universe, so I mean, it makes sense, but...
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to do it. She doesn't have... so far, we don't see that she has ties to Avengers. I'm excited to see if they do that, and how, because her friend isn't Carol Danvers, now it's Hellcat, but in this world, Hellcat doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So it's Trisha, I can't remember Hellcat's last name, do you remember?
I don't remember.
It's not Justice, it's not something lame like that, is it?
I don't think so.
But it's Trisha something, is Hellcat. And I still interesting character that they used, and still friends with Jessica Jones, not in the same way, but they knew each other in the comics, so not completely far-fetched. But since she doesn't have that tie to Avengers, I'd be interested to see if they do something with it. I know. I keep looking outside at all this snow. If you guys don't know, we live in not northern Michigan. I used to live we live in southern Michigan, and it's just coming down. Yep. There's at least 3 inches already, and it only started snowing a few hours ago.
I can see 4 inches on the limb of the tree right there.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. So we're going to keep bringing you stuff. We're probably not going to dive as deep into Fallout, but next week we're definitely going to talk about Jessica Jones.
Yes.
Heavily, because we're we're going to binge watch it. We want to be there. Yeah, exactly. We're leaving the podcast to watch Jessica Jones. So
you guys are lucky we took time out to do this podcast.
Exactly. Be grateful and rate us on iTunes, please. Like us or hate us. Just give us something. Give us at least 1 star.
Yeah.
No stars is going to hurt us even more. Tell people that you hate us if you hate us. We just want to know that someone's listening because we're lonely.
When we get a P.O. box, you can send us cases of Mountain Dew as well.
Or Just no bombs. Please, no bombs.
Yes.
My wife's gonna get the mail and be like, Terry, there's a bomb in it. Don't want to have that conversation.
We're pretty well into defusing bombs now. We've
like Keep Talking and Don't Explode. That game is amazing. If you haven't played Keep Talking and Don't is it Keep Talking and Don't Explode?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Either way, play that game. It's on Steam. It's cheap. It was only like $15.
$15.
It is the most fun I've had yelling at my friends.
Only
ever.
one of your friends has to buy the game.
Exactly.
The rest of you use the manual.
Yeah, you download it right from their website. You can do a PDF. You can print it out. Like it's also available in VR if you guys have any of those Oculus kits.
Yep.
It's an amazing game, and we played it for almost 5 hours that night.
I know we were drunk too. But
Yeah, play it drunk. Play it drunk. It's completely valid way to play that game.
that's how you defuse bombs. You have to drink because otherwise there's no way you can do it.
All the reviews call it a yelling simulator, and goddamn is that accurate.
Speaking of which, I forgot to mention just real quick. There's an app. I don't know if you know about it. It's called Space Team.
No.
It's very similar. It's
Okay.
a yelling game.
Oh, okay.
And
So like someone's like driving the ship, and
well, basically, you each download the game.
Okay.
And it's 2 or more players. That's more fun with 3 or more.
Right.
But when you're playing, you're basically doing these commands where one person's like, okay, like we need to shake the phone right now because we're trying to.
so
fix this.
someone's reading the thing and saying, "Hey, shake the phone."
Right. Each person will get different commands.
Oh,
And you're
cool.
not going to know what the other person got, so you have to be able to tell them what's going on. And there's things like, oh, you need to switch the flux capacitor down to this.
So
And
one guy's saying, "Okay, guys, we need to rotate the phone," while the other guy's going, "Yeah, but we have to shake it too." That kind of thing,
stuff like
Ah.
that. And there's like other things on there, like weird words that you wouldn't expect.
Okay.
Or not know what it means, and you have to try to figure out like, okay, which one's the terminal dubulator.
That sounds awesome. Keeping with that, I have one more recommendation for you: Space Cadet Dice Duel. Have you played that one yet?
I haven't.
Okay, we need to get together and play it. It's at least 4 players, I believe. We used to play it 1-on-1, but it's really hard. It's a board game, but it's a real time board game. What that means is there's no turns. Time stops at certain times, but most of the time the game is just going. So you have 2 different teams. It's best when you play 4-on-4, and it's hectic as hell. Or 5-on-5 is really good too. You have a commander, and then you have the people who control the different parts of the ship. So you have somebody who navigates, you have somebody who runs the torpedoes, you have somebody who runs the shields, somebody who runs the tractor beams. And then you have the commander. The commander rolls dice, and if you get the energy dice, you dole out the energy. So you have to roll a 6 to give energy or whatever. You give that energy to other people, they roll to do the commands for their part of the ship. So if you're driving, you have to roll once the commander gives you energy, and you have to get at least 3 dice, and you do a command. So you can go upwards and left, upwards and upwards again, upwards and right. And you do it, and the commander says, okay, now execute the command, and you move your ship, and it's happening in real time. So everyone's rolling dice and trying to do it. And then time only stops when you fire a torpedo. So you're trying to drive around and shoot the other team. So you're driving around and you're going, okay, guys, I'm not gonna give any money to the shields, so I'm gonna give all the energy to the torpedo guys and the driver, so he can maneuver around and we can get the torpedo ready to fire because we're flanking them right now. And then the commander goes, okay, stop, fire. So everyone stops, both teams stop, and you not measure, but you have to see like if your torpedo's gonna hit.
Okay.
And you have like 3 lives, and then there's like things like around the board, like there's black holes you can run into, there's meteors, you can get these crystals that let you teleport like warp drive. It's so much fun, and it's a yelling simulator. It's exactly the same.
That sounds like so much fun.
Exactly. Your navigator went left, and you're supposed to go right, and then you're flanked by the enemy. You're like,
Yeah,
I told you to go right.
I already know Terry's the commander. Yep. No matter what, Terry's the commander.
It's just like every time we play Game of Thrones, everyone's like, well, we got to beat Terry. And I'm like, why do we have to beat Terry?
Because Terry's going to win if we don't beat Terry.
Because you've been planning this strategy for 6 weeks. I'm like up in my office with like the actual Game of Thrones like show with like my battle strategy and like moving your guys' pieces around the board. Well, if I take Helm's Deep, you know,
we'll throw a wildfire right here.
And I love those kind of games where you can strategize and yell at your friends. It's the best. So those are our recommendations for this week. Like us on iTunes, like I said. Subscribe. Give us a review if you want to. We just want to get some feedback. If you want to tweet at us, we're at CaveTrollsCast. I'm at Resident Stevel. Jordan's at Extraordinary. Dave's at David Tulgetske, he thinks.
Dave or David.
Yeah, either way, don't follow him. He's the worst.
Yeah, he's not even here right now.
If you want to send us some direct feedback or anything like that, our email is cavetrollscast@gmail.com. We're cheap. We still just have the Gmail. Go to our website, cavetrollscast.squarespace. No, it's cavetrollspodcast.squarespace.com. There's nothing there. If you're getting us on iTunes, you don't need to go there. But we're on all those different things. Look for us on YouTube. That's coming soon. We have our new podcast, Right in the Fields, coming out. We have a couple of different series we're going to be launching too. So look out for that. And, just keep listening. Anything you want to add, Jordan?
Stay classy.
You stay classy, San Diego.